Okay, here we go. We're going back a little bit, boys and girls. We're going back just a little bit to 1976 Genesis album Wind and Wuthering. A Patreon request came in on the 11th hour saying, Ryan, before you move forward, before you get to Duke, let's go back and listen to the songs that you missed on the Wind and Wuthering Genesis album. And when that happens, I have a contract. It's signed in blood. It's got to get done. So this is for you, Daniel. I'm doing this for you. And I appreciate our conversation on our emails. It was great that we could work this out. So this is part one of a part two request. We'll get into part two. Maybe I'll tease it. He also gave a Patreon request for some Steve Hackett songs. So I know some of you guys have been shouting at me to do that, and I've been hearing you. But sometimes, Patreon wins always. And it's not that I'm not trying to, the thing is, honestly, okay, here's the honest truth. It's not about the money, though, yes, I understand that, but it's just not about the money. It's about the fact that everyone is requesting everything all the time. And it's kind of like either I don't do anything anyone asks for, right? Which is what a lot of reactors or first-time listeners do. That's totally cool. But I do want to have that relationship with you guys. I do. So it's kind of like, and I feel bad ignoring some people's requests. And it's going to happen still. That's totally fine. Because I have an agenda. Like right here is my Peter Gabriel. I've already done my own homework for Peter Gabriel because I'm so in love with that guy right now that it's almost, I'm not saying people don't have to do a Patreon request regarding Peter. I'm just saying, because I might miss still, because of my own naive way of doing things, I might be missing things, just like I've been doing with Genesis. I had my own way of doing it, like songs I was going to hit and the reasons why were my own. But people are like, well, Ryan, because you're an idiot and you don't know what you're doing, which is totally true. They said you have to go back and hear these songs. So that's what I'm getting at. So it's kind of like everyone will just keep saying do everything. Well, I can't feasibly do that on my own time. It's hard. But when people do Patreon, what it does is like, hey, Ryan, thank you for your time. And now listen to these songs. You hear me now, Ryan? So that's how it works. I hope that people understand that's how Patreon works. I'm not trying to, I appreciate it. And I know a lot of other channels do it. I don't know. I just feel bad, but it's a way of, the loudest voice gets through that way, and it worked. So here you go, Daniel. I'm doing the whole album now. So I'm not doing the whole album on this video. You can go back and look at the other songs that I've already done. But on this video, just for people who are tracking, the title might just be called Wind and Wuthering, but I'm going to do 11th Earl of Mar. Then I've skipped down to Wot Gorilla. Wot Gorilla? Owen and Mouse's Night, Blood on the Rooftops, Unquiet, Slumbers for the Sleepers, but I'm going to roll into In That Quiet Earth. Because I think I did a live version of that track, and I didn't do the, apparently everyone was like, Ryan, you're supposed to do the... Okay, so that's what we're doing on this video. If you want to see the Afterglow, One for the Vine, in your own special way, I did those videos already. I think I might have done a live with some of them as well, or one or the other. So go check those out if you really want to see my first time listen reaction to those. But here we go. Without further ado, you guys are like, Ryan, get to it already. I know. Here we go. Okay. 11th Earl of Mar. Phil Collins on vocals. Let's check this out. I'm excited. So make sure I'm recording. I know I do that. Little hot. they didn't waste any time with this one. They just went right into the driving beat.
See the steward all rest up. He's got eyes in the back of his head. Who came in a dark shovel that could only just flow? Couldn't even lift a sword. Twist to a fire, and smelling of wine. Daddy, you've got to go. Here comes the bishop, all rest up. He's gonna bless you if you're ready to pay. One wave of his funny old stick. There's a band of light across your eyes. Wait a week, still they hadn't appeared. That glorious timing that everyone feared. So they're riding along on the crest of a wave. They're headed for London, and that will be their grave. 'Cause Daddy, I'm waiting, I'm waiting.
Wow, a rocker. This is the biggest rocker yet. Time to go to bed now. Never seems too keen to be a guest now in a house of dreams. Flying from a hillside, beckoning the trees, a sailboat's awning, mimicking the breeze. I'm fighting gravity falling. My daddy won't let them get me. A voice screams, seems to be calling. The face turns, features are burning. back around. I mean, that was great. That was a straight up rocker. Really, I mean, Genesis does those songs, but it's not very often they just like kick it off like just right out, boom, boom, and especially this early in their career, in mid '70s. Just a rocker, heavy sound, heavy drums, guitar, like a very electric, strong guitar by Steve. Yeah, great. I'm glad I listened to it. This is definitely a treat. I thank you, Daniel. This is definitely a treat so far. I can see that iTunes has. I don't know how they determine who gets the star. I don't always like those rankings. I don't know who does those because there's other songs like I loved One for the Vine, for example, and Afterglow. Oh, that got a star. Okay, but anyways, all right. So let's check out Wot Gorilla. What gorilla are you talking about, Phil? Let's find out. And then we'll just keep it playing. Oh, instrumental. Roger. Feels like I just want to do some drumming. Do you mind if I do a drum track? This is a show off. Sorry, it's really loud in my headphones. Wot Gorilla. Oh, sorry. Wot Gorilla? What? That was fun. Fun little ditty. Boys having some fun on their instruments there. Alright, see how it rolls into All in a Mouse's Night. Really mad it's his bonus video version, and it's grayed out. I can't access it. I don't know why I thought this would be a slower song by the title.
I can't see you, but I know you're there. Got to get beside you, 'cause it's really cold out here. Come up close to me, you'll soon be warm. Hold me tightly, like we're sheltering from a storm. Think I might go out for a stroll into the night and out of this hole. Maybe find me a meal. Walking along this new shack pile, we sense a problem all the while. Nearly the door. Suddenly he bumps into wood, the door is closed, the voice from the bed, he'll be exposed. Which way to run, must make for the hole, the lights been turned on, he's blind as a mole in cold. Now I can see they're coming at me, they blocked up my door, I haven't a chance in hell. Come on baby, let the poor thing go. I'm not sleeping with that thing around here, no. Alright then, I'll fetch a box from below. Guard him carefully, they're very quick, you know.
I'm actually following the play here between the mouse and the couple.
The door's been opened, my chance to escape.
This is the mouse part.
Must run out quick, better sorry than late. I'm out on the stairs. They won't catch me now, I've the run of the house now. I'll make it downstairs and into the bread bin. That would be nice. Suddenly he bumps into fur that's very unwise. A cat is much quicker than men and their eyes. The chase that ensues can have only one end, unless outside help steps in for our friend in need. But now the cat comes in for the kill. His paw is raised when blood will spill. Yes, it will. Hard luck, mouse. This is the end of your road. The signpost is inside me. Let me bear your heavy load. But it's not to be that final pounce. Knocks a jump on his head and lays him out.
Oh, the cat's knocked out.
But it's all in a mouse's night to take on all those who'd find. There I was with my back to the wall. Then comes this monster mouse, he's 10 feet tall, with teeth and claws to match. It only took one blow.
Monster mouse. great Steve Hackett guitar there. Okay, those in the comments below, because I'm slow, I guess. I apologize. What is the mouse scene here? Then comes this monster mouse. He's 10 feet tall, with teeth and claws to match. It only took one blow. So is it like a mouse trap? Maybe like it smacked him like that. Maybe. Is that what it is? Mouse trap. All right, let me know. All right, Blood on the Rooftops. This one was oft requested by a lot of commenters, so everybody thank Daniel. Nice heavy, or not heavy, prominent acoustic guitar. They do a lot of acoustic, but they haven't had this sound on a lot of their songs, like this straight up acoustic. I thought All in the Mouse's Night would sound like this, like a quieter song, but this is a quieter song, so it got flipped on me with the titles. Oh wow, really showcasing Steve. I assume it's him.
Dark and grey, an English film, the Wednesday play. We always watch the Queen on Christmas Day. Won't you stay? Though your eyes see shipwrecked sailors, you're still dry. The outlook's fine, the whales might have some rain. Saved again. Let's skip the news, boy. I'll make some tea. The Arabs and the Jews, boy, too much for me. They get me confused, boy, puts me off to sleep. And the thing I hate, oh Lord, is staying up late to watch some debate on some nation's day.
Wow. Those words are still true today. Still true today.
Hypnotized by Batman, Tarzan, still surprised.
Tarzan. He's gonna do the Tarzan soundtrack later in his career.
Time to be our guest.
Little did he know.
Name your prize. Drop of wine, glass of beer, dear. What's the time? The grime on the time is mine, all mine, all mine. 9:05. Blood on the rooftops, Venice in the spring. Streets of San Francisco.
Wow. That's a good song. I can see why people were shouting from the rooftops to have me. That's a terrible pun. I'm sorry. Alright, so we're going to do, of course, these two together. I've already done In That Quiet Earth, but we're going to have the two combined because it should just be one song, apparently. How would I know that? How would I know? Can't remember. This is instrumental too, wasn't it? Okay, alright. I see now. I see. heavy. All right. This album is really, really good. So thank you, Daniel. You're right. And you're all right. Everybody's right. But as I explained before, it's just time, guys, to do the recordings anyway. So I appreciate the Patreon because it helps. And it helps me to listen to it, and it helps my time. So it's a incredible album. Like, I'm not just saying that. People have watched my channel, watched my reactions. There's some songs that have or have not worked for me, but this album as a whole, I'm just looking at them all. I just listened to the 6 that I missed, and I know that I enjoyed the other 3 that I did on this album: Afterglow, Your Own Special Way, and One for the Vine. I enjoy those immensely. So it goes without saying, this is a pretty kick-ass album. I'm just gonna do something really quick. I'm gonna see, like, it's gonna work or it's not gonna work. I'm just gonna see if Wind in the Wuthering interview is available on YouTube. Just wait one sec.
I suppose Wind and Wuthering came after a bit more confidence.
You don't have to watch if you don't want to. I want to watch.
I think in some respects, the edge and the excitement of Trick of the Tail, the edginess of will it work or not, and did work, for me, made Wind and Wuthering, the writing seemed a little flatter to me, I think, because it was slightly more, you're thinking about it more. You've done the first one without thinking about it, just gone and done it without Peter. And this was like the second one, it was a bit harder. The second album, they always say, I think Wind and Wuthering is probably very much Tony's album favourite. He was very much, I think, involved in the sound of that one. It's probably the album he perhaps had the most, I think, influence, actually. One for the Vine, Afterglow. And I always see it as a feminine album. There are no real kind of ballsy driving songs on this album, which I think has probably suffered for a little bit.
No, I just finished saying there was the rocker at the beginning and those instrumentals. What are you talking about, Mike?
Still a classic. I think it still sounds great.
But I would search everywhere.
And actually, another song I think is very important is "Blood on the Rooftops," which is quite important. A big part of Steve on that one.
Hey, I said that.
It's a lovely song. It's a forgotten song.
Not by me.
You kind of go, oh, that's nice. I didn't rate that so much.
Not by all the commenters.
I think it's one of Steve's best moments, actually, on the writing side, really.
There's quite a lot of music written beforehand on this album, and I think when we finished the album, the only thing that worried me a little bit was perhaps the album was more, particularly when we left off the 3 tracks we did, which were all kind of quite simple tracks, that the album was really quite a heavy album, quite a difficult album.
Oh.
But, I mean, I liked that. You see, I always thought I like an album to be a challenge, and it wasn't an album that was going to be liked first time. Apart from
Is that Phil Collins? I'm just joking.
Actually, every other track requires quite a bit.
Must be the producer, I guess.
To get into, and but at that time, I think,
or is that
we were able to, I think we had people who were prepared to give us the time.
Not Tony.
Some people, I remember the reviews of the album were a bit like, oh, disappointing after Trick of the Tail type thing. But I think for the fans,
is that the keyboardist?
It's a better album.
Terrible. I don't know. Maybe that is him. I don't really know what he looks like. It might be him. But
Pete and Tony were like this, I mean, best of friends, but like this. And possibly with Peter having long gone by this point, Tony realising that possibly, he was able to sort of, like Mercury, kind of sort of spread out a little bit and get much more of him out. And of course, with me not writing and and maybe Steve writing, but not everybody liking what he was bringing in, there was only him and Mike, really, apart from us as a group, which was always a very important part of us. I mean, us writing together with out of nothing was always one of the strong things of Genesis, anyway. But yeah, so for feminine, read romantic. For romantic, read Tony. So.
I think it's a romantic album. That's probably why I like it.
I'm just gonna Google
much as
the.
I do.
Sorry,
I'm
I think
sort
that's
of
him,
perhaps that
the
Eric music
keyboardist, and I
excites me more
apologize.
in a way, the chords are much more sort of expansive, if you like, and the way they change is sort of more yearning. You know, it's not. This is about as far away as you can get from sort of straight ahead.
Sorry, I sometimes get Steve and Tony's names mixed up, and I apologize.
Myself, but this album's as far away from it.
That is Tony. Okay, my bad. I just never seen him without the short hair and recent. Okay, my bad.
I enjoyed doing
Great
Blood
album.
on the Rooftops. I mean, I took a flyer on that.
There
one.
he
I
is.
think
There's
it's also
Steve.
Classical guitar.
He always reminds me that he looks like Eddie Van Halen a little bit, doesn't he?
I
It's
enjoyed
weird, eh?
doing that.
Kind of has an Eddie Van Halen look to him.
I think that came out very well. I think it's a very well produced album. I think that, as I say, particularly with the new mixes, you can hear a little more guitar.
It's kind of been growing in confidence, I think, over the years with Genesis. I mean, you know, you must appreciate that when we started off, that both Phil and Steve were very much junior members, particularly in relation to the composition. You know, and I think at this stage, you know, with Mike and I had sort of perhaps been the dominant, certainly on Trick or Tell, and we probably were on Wind and Wuthering as well, I think. But he definitely had more moments when he came to the fore. And this was particularly true, I think, on Blood on the Rooftops, which I think is a lovely track. It's one of my favourite tracks we did.
Blood on the rooftops, Venice in the spring.
The chorus musically of Blood on the Rooftops was Phil's, and the idea for the title of the song
I could tell.
was Phil's, Blood on the Rooftops. I did the rest of the lyrics and the verse and the intro, so that's me, and luckily the band went to town on it, and we had Mellotron and everything, and it's pretty sort of dark, very English sounding tune, where all the levels of action happen on the TV. So it's a sort of song about couch potatoes in a way, but maybe the younger generation is differing slightly from what the older generation is saying. Yeah, it's not a bad lyric.
Oh.
At that time, you see, we're talking about 77, and I had yet to really write. I wrote bits. One of my bits ended up on the Lamb. My strength in Genesis, even though I was the singer, up until and including Wind and Wuthering, was as an arranger. I could see how other people's material could work, or could be arranged like this or like that, or why don't you play that and I could play this. An interpreter, if you like, and so I had these little bits, and I think Steve and I think probably reading between the lines, Steve was starting to get a bit frustrated because he had his material that he was doing on his own albums, and obviously this was probably the last album he did, so he by this point, without me knowing, certainly he was starting to feel a bit frustrated about his lack of ability to sort of contribute to the band.
Probably throughout the whole of the period with the band. I mean, I always thought, what would it be like if I wasn't with the band? I mean, I used to think that the band were very accomplished songwriters, and I very often used to find it intimidating working with people who were so gifted and who were so quick and brilliant. And it took, I think, a long time for my confidence, to get to the point where I felt like an equal. I think it probably didn't happen until Wind and Wuthering, really.
Terror filled their minds with awe. Simple were the folk who live.
When Pete left, we had a moment we suddenly realised, we kind of went, shit, do you know what? We've always called the song Genesis, which means no one knows who wrote what. And as one always imagined the singer writes most of it, we suddenly thought, God, if any people knew who wrote what, they wouldn't be so worried about what comes next. But of course, you can't suddenly tell them that. So I think after that, subconsciously, we started to sort of push more our own credits. who wrote what, you know what I mean? And I think individually, and that's probably not a... And the next album was the worst one of all, and then Duke, we started going back to how we started originally, writing together more. So we were heading in the direction, I think, where it was like a couple of my songs, a couple of Tony's songs, you know, a couple of group songs. It was a funny road we were taking.
The three main songs I wrote on this, I wrote totally on my own, which was obviously The One for the Vine, Afterglow, and All on a Mouse's Night. When I played One for the Vine to the guys, you know, it was kind of like I just played the whole thing through with me sort of warbling on top, you know, and I don't know what they thought at the end of that, you know, but I think they thought if we don't do it, he'll get so irritable, start throwing things, that we'll have to have a go at it, you know. So we just put it down in the studio. I just put the whole thing down with the piano and drums, really. And then we sort of overdubbed everything else on top of it. And it was just faith, really, in the end, that they sort of stuck with me, I think. Because I think it turned out good, actually. And I think the contribution of all the others is really good as well. So it's I was quite pleased with that. But I mean, because that song had really taken me, you know, since Trick of the Tail, I'd sort of been working on that and honing it and trying to get it right. Whereas the song Afterglow, which was the final song, I really just about in the time it took to play it. I just sort of sat down and thought, oh,
sometimes songs like that just
using that chord sequence
are just like
and
that,
started
yeah.
singing on it. And I was really excited by that because I thought, you know, I don't normally do things like that. And then about a couple of days after I'd written, I suddenly thought, shit, what I've done is I've written Have Yourself a Merry Little Christmas again. It was a terrible thought, and I was thinking, Have Yourself, and I listened to that particular song and realised it wasn't the same. I could get away with it, you know, but it's a terrible moment when you think, God, I'll never get away with it. But
sort of there, but
yeah.
not
So
really.
I mean, I think Afterglow, which obviously then became a big stage favourite, it was just a very strong kind of, you know, sort of anthemic kind of piece, which I think closed the album really well. So I think, you know, I was very pleased with that.
Wot Gorilla was actually one of my favourite songs on the whole record because it was.
Because you got the
more of a
drum.
Sendos
You got to
thing.
show your little drumming skills,
Kind of in the
Phil.
middle. You know, it was my fusion kind of weather reporting side of me that I was able to sort of make Tony Banks play this stuff, you know, and they seemed to like it. So that ended up on the album.
In those days, I was still doing a lot of guitar tunings, playing 12 strings with funny, weird tunings, sometimes tuning the double strings in harmony, which is quite unusual. And Your Special Way was done with a funny tuning. What it was, I think I never got a clue of finding it again, so I can't see us doing it on stage. I'd found a way to play it straight chords. But it was a nice moment. It was a single in America too. And suddenly, it was the first time when the record label thought, it didn't do anything, but it got some airplay. They felt, hang on, maybe this band could do something that we can actually play on the radio, apart from the long songs that got played on late night radio. So it was the sort of start of a tickle in America, I think, from that sense.
At the same time as we were doing Wind and Wuthering, there was this punk thing was starting as well, which we kind of just didn't really glance at too much. We just ignored it.
Peter didn't ignore
Genesis
it.
were
Peter
always
kind of
slightly outside the
on
loop
his first album
in
was a little
terms
bit of a punk.
firing line, which is not a bad thing actually. It works both ways. You get less press, but it also means you get, you know, when the press is bad, you get less bad press. I don't know. I kind of felt outside it all, but I didn't really feel. I saw it was quite fun coming in. I think it was a good time for music because I think a lot of bands got to a stage when actually you couldn't make an album without spending a fortune and having all the big mixers and all the gear, you know. And punk came in a bit like in a couple of amps and just do it, which I think was very healthy. And I think it was like shaking the apple tree. I think the good ones stayed and the bad ones came down. We managed to fool them all, obviously.
I did think that it's this, but they're not talking about us. They're talking about those other bands that I don't like either. You know, I mean, good. You know, let's get rid of them other lot. You know, they can't be talking about us. You know, of course they were talking about us, but I actually agreed. You know, I loved all that stuff.
I don't think Genesis has ever really pandered to anything. I mean, styles or fashions. I think we've always been in our own little sort of world, really.
But now the cat comes in for the kill. His paw is raised when blood will spill. Yes, it will.
Well, I know Tony's fond of it. I'm fond of it. I think it was an album that was probably uncompromised. I think it's still an album. I think it was uncompromised by the need to have hit singles. I don't think there are too many of them on there. I think latterly, perhaps Afterglow could have made that a hit single. My Strongest Song, Blood on the Rooftops, I doubt would have made a single. But you know, we were making an album at that time, and there weren't the pressures of having to do 3-minute songs that were going to be acceptable for video, etc. So I do think it's the band at its best, doing perhaps what it did best, at least with my inclusion in it. So I am very fond of it.
For me, it's one of my two favourite Genesis albums. I think it's got so many good moments on it, so that's the way I feel about it. But I think it's the most extreme of a certain kind of album. It's the most extreme in terms of the kind of the harmonic area, and probably the most complex in musical terms of all the albums we did, I think.
Oh, that's it. Okay. Well, everyone, I hope you enjoyed that. That's a little bit of a bonus. I don't know. I really wanted to hear that interview that I saw that was great out on my iTunes, because I have the iTunes account. So I pay monthly, like Netflix. So I get all the stuff on iTunes, but I probably have to purchase the album to get that. But I saw it on YouTube for free. Sorry, Phil and gang, you're not gonna get any more money from me. Anyways, thanks everyone. Thanks for watching, and good day, good evening, good morning, good night.